Recording. All right. Hey, welcome everyone. We're here for another episode of Touchlab Share. We're excited to be joined by the JetBrains Kotlin team. So you know me, my name is Eric. I also have Justin on the call as well, but I'd like to give both Anastasia and Kate a chance to introduce themselves. So Anastasia, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. I'm Anastasia. I'm product manager in Kotlin Multiplatform Mobile team. And before that, I was a quality assurance engineer in Kotlin.
Hey everyone, my name is Kate and I'm a developer advocate for Kotlin and focus primarily on KMM. And I've joined the Kotlin team not so long time ago, I think 4 or 5 months. Oh my God, time goes so quickly. And before that, I've started my IT journey as an iOS developer, I think 10 years ago. Oh my God, please, I think, can we cut it off? I'm so old. So yeah.
Perfect. And I think it'd just be super helpful if you could also just share in your current position, what are some of the things that you're managing?
When I introduce myself, I always use a joke that I can't explain to my mom what developer advocate is. It's so hard. But I love a lot a metaphor about that developer advocate is a bridge between team who is developing a product and the developers, the users of our product. So my responsibility is in general to make developers happy. And from one side, it's creating a content, tutorials, writing articles, or making a talks to explain how to use our technology. In our case, is KMM. And on the other side, it's communicating with developers and get their feedback, know about their pains and their needs, and provide this feedback to our team and mainly to Anastasia.
Yeah. Well, as for me, my role is somewhat similar. So my role is also to make a developer happy. And but the only difference is that I am responsible to making them happy by making a great product out of KMM. So I focus on what our team should do, what should be our nearest plans, based on users' feedback, statistics we collect, surveys we perform, and so on.
Perfect. Thank you both for that. That's a great segue into our partnership, right? So JetBrains and TouchLab are partnering together. Top of the year, I think it was that we really came out with CampKit, which is TouchLab's starter project. And around that time, the announcement came out that we were going to be working together, partnering together to really increase adoption of Kotlin Multiplatform Mobile in 2020 and beyond. On our end, it's been a pleasure to work with you both. And before that, we were working with other members of your team. From your perspective, how does the TouchLab partnership kind of fit into your strategy, and how's it been going so far?
Well, from our side, it also has been a pleasure and probably one of the best decisions we made when we've decided to partner closely on KMM. Well, just for example, I'm conducting a lot of product interviews with our users. If the user has started KMM less than a year ago, he, in 90% of the cases, mentions CampKit. So they say, I ask, what did you use to start? And they say CampKit, Kevin's materials, Touchlab materials, and I'm like, oh, well, no surprise there. And we had a very fruitful partnership on the content for KMM portal. Honestly, folks, we wouldn't be able to write all the content we wanted without you. And thanks a lot to Kevin, who isn't present here today on the call, for his concurrency articles, because after his concurrency articles, I understood Kotlin native memory model better. than I didn't understand it before. We get a lot of useful insights from you about our users, about our marketing strategy, because we weren't that good at marketing before. And actually, our first efforts were based on what Touchlab folks actually made. So I like to think of this partnership as, well, something very long, very productive, and very fruitful. And I hope that we will continue shaping multi-platform ecosystem, multi-platform world together.
Yeah, just to add a little from my side, as I said, I've joined the Kotlin team just before this loud release and this going alpha news. I think we will come back to this later. And I was pretty involved in creating content for our new documentation portal. And I think this is a great example of our partnership. And I just wanted to share with you also some insights from my communications with developers when they are asking some questions about our documentation and its content. I noticed that when I said that part of this content was written by the folks from the community, by TouchLab, by the folks with the first-hand experience, they begin to trust this documentation more and more, and that's a really good thing. Because they realized that it's not something theoretically invented with some by the team of tech writers. Of course it was, but because we combine your experience and our experience in making this in some handy form, I think the result it's awesome, and the feedback from the community is the great. It's the great example of how it worked.
Yeah, I think that's a special combination, right? You guys are obviously the stewards of the technology and the framework, and then on our end, we're putting it to use, putting it into production with our clients on a very frequent basis. So I think that those two perspectives really come together well. Justin, anything you want to add?
Yeah, when we changed our company strategy from all Android, and we saw what JetBrains was doing with Kotlin and Kotlin Multiplatform was just in its very nascent phase. We saw this opportunity of changing our company strategy to go all in with Kotlin and Kotlin Multiplatform. So seeing this alignment around, you want to make developers happy. We need our developers to be happy to make good products. So there's like this natural alignment there. And then when we saw developers needing more documentation from different perspectives, we were able to leverage that too as part of our strategy for our developers being happy, our client developers being happy, and ultimately our clients being happy. So it's been super great from our point of view too.
Well said, well said. It goes both ways. Like we're, the rest of the team isn't here, but we're all super excited when we get together. And it's also really exciting when we're able to partner up on events together. So the Kotlin 1.4 event just happened. From the community's perspective, from our perspective, it was a smashing success. There was so much awareness, so many conversations. The recorded segments were all super informative, and people are still referring back to them in terms of like watching them over and kind of getting more information from the team. From your perspective, what were some of the highlights for you as it relates to Kotlin Multiplatform Mobile from that event? What were some of the things that stood out to both of you?
I think I can start because Anastasiia can be shy, and maybe she just want to talk it loud, but oh my God, she was one of the speakers at the Kotlin Online Wait keynote. I think it's awesome, and I'm so happy for her and for KMM, because I think it's so great and so important that it was mentioned in the keynote, and I think this is the greatest highlight. And this idea is spreading to the whole event. From my perspective, it was like KMM oriented, because through whole days we were collecting questions to answer them on the Q&A session or during our Ask Me Anything session on Reddit later, and we've categorized them and I show you what category was the most popular one. Yeah, so the community interest is growing and growing, and we can see it in number of requests. So I think my talk it is in the top 5 of all talks by views. So it also demonstrates how community that community want to know more and more about KMM. And for me, I think this is the main highlight. But I need to mention that I love the whole online event because it has so diverse speakers and talks. And by these talks, you could know really everything you want to know about how Kotlin is improving and developing. And I think a lot of topics were covered. And from my perspective, it went great. And the involvement of community was also awesome. We get so much responses on the question, what Kotlin, which Kotlin animal will be. It was really funny. We have some funny activity during our talks, but jokes ahead, I loved the event.
Yeah. Well, from my side, well, generally what Katie said, and I was just looking at the spikes of our landing visit, and I was like, yay, now we can polish our onboarding scenario. And yeah, we're working on it right now. So. And yes, there were these spikes. We had a lot of people visiting our landing, trying out our hands-ons, looking for articles, and I hope that we will see more KMM users sometime soon. So
both of those talks were awesome to watch. And actually everything that was on there, even though we're KMM focused, seeing the server side part of it, seeing the website of it, like it really broadened our interests and what we want to look into and what's possible for developers going forward, for applications going forward. So thank you for all of that. And something that really stood out to me from those talks is just JetBrains, like since the early days of IntelliJ, you've cared so much and you've worked so hard to make sure that what you're making applies to different people and the quality stays up there. There's other companies that are just like, let's grab this, let's do that to make sure we cover the market as best as we can, but then they don't have the quality and they don't have the maintainability, that focus on the users. So I'm just really impressed with everything that you're doing. Thank you.
And I must add that one of the biggest impressions for me was talk from Dima Savinov about internals of multi-platform, about our achievements in 1.4 release. And that's kind of correlates with what Justin said, that we're really focused on the quality and we're really focused on users. And sometimes it's really, really hard. And I'm glad that we have found a time slot, well, the whole talk, to take the time and appreciate what our team has actually done. When I was first listening to the rehearsal of this talk, I was like, damn, did we actually do that? So.
Yeah, that must be a great feeling, right? Seeing your entire team on the big stage presenting, you know, what they're experts in the field about. And from the outside perspective, it was like great to also see how the diversity of your team and the different challenges and things that they're addressing. So we had this little thing at Touchlab where we do finger claps and jazz. I forget what it's called, but great job on that. You have the great vantage point of speaking to a lot of teams that may ask certain questions, right? They're submitting questions during the Kotlin 1.4 event. You know, there might be some larger organizations that are reaching out and asking some other specific questions. How are you seeing teams use Kotlin multi-platform? What challenges are they looking to solve with the KMM framework?
When we just started with product strategy for Kotlin Multiplatform, we've interviewed a lot of people who were using it and a lot of people who were using other cross-platform technologies. And we tried to determine our value, the segment to which we bring the most. And apparently, that's the segment of users who have already some mobile background, preferably Android, but not entirely. We have a lot of iOS developers who are interested in KMM. They love modern technologies and modern languages, well, Swift or Kotlin. And they're concerned about the logic of their apps being not so diverse across Android and iOS app for various reasons. For some people, it's well, we don't want to write the same code twice. We don't want to spend that much resources. For other people, it's safety. we don't want to introduce a bug on different platforms because the platforms are slightly different. For example, I remember that this case was kind of important for folks from Kareem, who before they introduced Kotlin Multiplatform, they had calculations error that were different on iOS and Android. So if your driver has an iOS app, he gets one sum for his ride, and if your driver uses Android app, he gets slightly different ride cost. Sorry. That's kind of crazy, and I have heard about similar bugs in several of our interviews. So it's also about safety. It's also about stability, about introducing new features quicker and more, well, with more quality for the users. And well, that's basically it. Other things such as, is it a big team or is it a single developer? Is it a studio or is it some big project, big with many applications, or with one big application with thousands of models? It actually didn't matter because we have single developers who did awesome things with KMM. For example, Anna Redmond, she did a talk at KotlinConf last year about her Infinite app. Or Hugh Essentials folks, well, not folks, one folk, it's Thomas. He's 19 or 20 years old, and he made his own app for managing Philips smart light bulbs. So, and he didn't have any iOS experience, so he has chosen KMM because he loves Kotlin and because he wanted to make an iOS app. Well, so these are all very different developers, but I think that these three main points is what brings them together. They're concerned about their features, about their quality, about how fast they're doing it for the users. They love Kotlin, or they generally love modern languages and modern technologies. And well, they're somewhat experienced in mobile, so for now, I wouldn't recommend KMM for complete newbies. Because, well, you have to appreciate what it gives to you, and to appreciate that you have to have some experience in mobile development, in at least for one platform.
I think this great description of our target audience. And when I just met KMM, first I thought that it's mainly a good approach for some for big teams, powerful applications with fat clients, you know, because of course you've got the fatter client you have, the more profit you have, because you can share more and more code and you can't stop sharing it. So, but after I conducted also some interviews and chatted with different developers, I saw that also some independent developers, they're also happy to use KMM. For example, I had a very interesting and inspiring discussion with some guy who is independent developer. He has a solo company and he do both Android and iOS applications, and he used KMM just to be effective, because he is one person and his company, and he know that time is matter and time is expensive. So I agree with Anastasiia that it doesn't matter big team or small team. They all can use it, and they all will gain some profits here.
That's amazing and well said by both of you. Thank you for that, because I think it speaks to what we're seeing and why we liked it in the beginning at first, right? The fact that it's very flexible, optional. You don't have to write the entire thing in this. With KMM, you can focus on parts of the app that you actually do want to share. So that's going to be excellent responses by both of you. I really appreciate that, because it sums it up so well. And again, it gives us your perspective, right? In terms of, you're the stewards, the architects of this framework. So getting that perspective and sharing it with our audience is really valuable. I want to switch gears a little bit from folks that are, looking at KMM, right, to actually using it. What are some of the challenges and common challenges that you hear from teams when they're using KMM? to kind of ease those, to smooth those challenges over?
Okay, so I also probably should be the first person who is answering that. Well, we were interviewing people as usually. We were asking them about their challenges, and during a couple of last episodes, Justin mentioned a diagram that we wrote for our internal planning. And actually, this diagram is the diagram of all, even the smallest problems KMM users can face now. So yeah, I was collecting it for about a month. It were complaints from interviews, tickets in U-Track, complaints in Slack, and I actually have it here right now, so I could probably share my screen.
Yes, please pull it up. That'd be great.
Yes, and show the original to you. So
exclusive.
yeah, here it is. Yeah, that's the original version. And actually, I'm afraid it's in Russian a little bit. No, it's English. So the thing we did first, we have separated our product to several parts. Core part as compilers and runtime, expect actual support and multi-platform support in general, Gradle DSL, and interop with iOS world, and additional parts that make the whole product, such as libraries ecosystem, tooling and developer experience, product quality, community and support, learning best practices, and the way to start smoothly with KMM. And yes, there are still some challenges in the core product. Well, the memory model, the obvious one. People are complaining a lot about it. And the thing I am personally proud of as a product manager for Kotlin Multiplatform is that I was one of the people who were responsible for the final decision to change memory model. So we were discussing it a lot, and after a lot of discussions and a lot of heated discussions, we finally decided that we want to implement new garbage collector, and we want to implement relaxed memory model in some time. But we still have learned a lot from strict memory model, and probably some concepts that we've learned, such as that people like actually working with immutability, they might actually reach the big Kotlin someday. So no further comments here, but it was a very valuable experiment for us. But we will still change it, and Kotlin native memory model will be closer to what people actually expect from it. The second big challenge is interop. It might appear hard at first. In my opinion, the biggest problem with it is documentation. So people actually have to guess now what interop declarations they're going to get. How do they call Kotlin declarations or Swift code? And we are hoping to improve that somewhat soon. And some people mentioned that, folks, you don't have direct Swift interop, you have interop through Objective-C. And yes, it's also a pain point, but apparently, as I was talking with more and more people, they said that, well, it would be more beautiful and it would be a little bit more consistent because 95% of our code base is in Swift. But actually, we are okay because a lot of Apple libraries is still written in Objective-C and we still have to live with it. So it's on our radars, but not for the closest term because we still have to work on many Kotlin native memory model problems and other Kotlin native problems. I think that these are the biggest pain points from the core product. As for the whole product, as for other parts, I think that the most important one is libraries. For now, because of binary compatibility limitations, ecosystem can't evolve as quickly as we would like it to. And I've heard several times that we don't use any third-party libraries because it will be a pain with us to update them. So we have wrote our own set of libraries for completely everything. For example, Margot did that. And I was like looking at their GitHub and like, wow, these are some nice libraries. And for example, another adopter has written his own Firebase wrappers. And when I asked him, why didn't you use Firebase Multiplatform SDK from one of our adopters? He said, well, pain in fast to update. And the second, well, I actually don't need that much declarations, so I just wrote the wrappers myself because now I have the convenient wrappers. And well, it's nice, but not all people are able to actually do that. And we would like the ecosystem to grow, to thrive, and we'd love people to write many libraries for multi-platform. And well, our efforts here are split into directions. The one is one probably Kate should talk about more. And the second one, yes, we are hoping to achieve binary compatibility for Kotlin native at some point. So I hope that soon we will be able to announce that Kotlin native binaries are compatible with each other. And well, the last biggest pain point is onboarding. So the learning curve is not as smooth as we would like to. There are still some pieces of content missing, and the worst part is we still don't quite understand which ones. So we are experimenting with our onboarding now. We have created several formats of onboarding content. We have created a KMM portal, we have a camp kit, and we just see statistics. And well, actually in the nearest 2 months, I was planning to conduct several interviews with users who have joined KMM just recently, just in the last couple of months, to understand what are their challenges and what did they actually do. So we just hope to polish onboarding scenarios and make learning curve pretty smooth and nice.
So you're not busy at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Well
that was amazing. Kate, anything to add?
Well, you know, honestly, I'm not sure I can add something useful for such a full answer and such a crazy diagram. Oh my God, this mind map, it's awesome. But I want to share with you some insights because, well, I'm working with Anastasiia, and while she was creating this diagram, this job, she was so busy, she was really unavailable, and I just want to give her a respect because this is amazing job. I think it's unbelievable. And as a user, because always as a developer advocate, I try to imagine myself as a user of the technology, and I realized that I can be sure that nothing, even some small issues and some small pains, they won't hide from her. Yeah, because maybe, of course, this mind map is not about prioritization, and this is a really hard thing. And yeah, I just wanted to add that the biggest point, I think, if you open the Kotlin roadmap, you will see the relevant issues for the most popular one, which Anastasiia mentioned. But of course, we have a lot of them, but we can't do all at the same time. But I think it's important that we don't miss them.
I wanted to give my respect as well. I know how much work goes into that kind of stuff. That's one of my jobs at Touchlab. And I want to say, like, we have a channel in our Slack called Chart Junk, where these kinds of visualizations and stuff, and it's not all junky. We have really good examples of visualizations and how to organize information. And that would definitely go in the very good category. You said it took a month to gather the information from different sources. How long did it take you to actually put that together?
About a week and a half, I think. Well, actually, I was gathering information a little bit longer because interviews are a little bit more stretched in time. Actually, I was conducting about from 1 to 4 interviews a week since we have started working on KMM as a product. So right now it's probably about 50. I'm not sure about that. So yeah, and for about a month I was looking for tickets and for complaints in Slack, and then yeah, it took about a week and a half to combine that diagram together, actually.
Yeah,
another example of the efforts JetBrains will go to make sure they understand the users and make the users happy. You mentioned several things that have been on our plate as well as we're talking to people And I love that you mentioned the Apple libraries that are still written in Objective-C. It's one of the complaints that people come to when they run out of other complaints. They're like, it would be great if it worked with Swift. And it's like, how important is that? And that's something we talk to you about a lot, and we talk to the people that we talk to at conferences and our clients and on Slack within the Kotlin Slack channel, which we're really happy that JetBrains has put together. That kind of thing happens all the time. It's how important is this really? And that prioritization process that Kate brought up, like there's even more work once you gather the information, and once you organize the information, there's more work after that. So kudos to you for putting in that work.
Thanks, folks.
And I think, to echo everyone's sentiment there, like knowing how capable the framework, the hands that the framework is in is super, super valuable. And it's not something that's going to ever be not a priority, right? So again, from all the folks at Touchlab, thank you for the work that both of you do on this. And yes, killer diagram. We'll definitely flash it up in this video. I'm actually going to play a segment right now of our team kind of reacting to the 1.4 event. But in short, what we talked about, it's increasingly real, it's increasingly stable. There's major commitment from the JetBrains team to KMM. So after we had done our daily recaps of the 1.4 event, we ended on day 4 with that end note saying that how real, how stable, how committed, and how much progress had been made with the alpha announcement. So I'll pause here and play that. But how would you kind of describe this week in terms of the work we're doing here at Touchlab?
It's becoming more real. It's always been real in the sense that it executed on the device, but I feel like, we were doing this stuff way, like there was us and then a few folks at JetBrains and a couple of random people trying to make stuff run on an iPhone. And then here we are, things are getting real serious, but it's exciting.
The sense of like things starting to stabilize is definitely was my big takeaway too. Like there weren't a lot of huge surprises if you've been kind of watching the preview releases of 1.4 and stuff over the last couple months. But it's neat to just like hear that message going out to the world.
Progress, that'll probably fit in well. We're seeing the ecosystem grow and progress to its next steps.
I'll choose commitment. It's JetBrains committing to Kotlin Mobile, Kotlin Multiplatform Mobile, committing to KTOR with a new release cycle, which will make it more mature in terms of software development life cycle and adoption of that. Seeing all these new companies putting it into production, showing that they're confident in it, and JetBrains, it's showing how committed JetBrains is. Like, oh, we really need to focus on this, and it's not just a language that we want to be better than Java. It is an entire ecosystem of things that all developers can start taking advantage of.
Well said, well said. So you heard it here first: real, stable progress, period, commitment, right? This concludes our Kotlin 1.4 recap series. In the spirit of kind of talking about Kotlin Multiplatform Mobile and how it is in fact production ready, some very big news came out that Netflix, folks refer to Netflix as one of the FAANG companies, right? You have Facebook, you have Apple, you have Amazon, you have Netflix, you have Google. So obviously one of the major tech players, and now they're putting KMM into production. What was your both reaction to the news?
Well, at first I was, yay!
Yeah,
of course,
was like,
well,
woo! And
yeah,
and
for
after,
me, yeah, sorry, Kate, let's go.
No. That was just a joke. That we were writing each messages all the morning, because it was a morning when we saw these tweets, and I think the first half of an hour of working day were wasted because we were sharing our emotions on this. And after Anastasiia, please share.
Yeah, sure. My emotions were a little bit more complicated. Well, at first I was like, yay. And then my next
always.
thought was, well, let's just wait until they put it into the big app, the user world, because I know people who are already doing it for streaming apps. Way to go, Netflix, way to go. And my first thought was, well, as a product manager for the products such as Kotlin Multiplatform, I'm facing a lot of challenges, the biggest of which is it's sometimes unethical and hard to collect user statistics. If you're a product for a mobile app, you know almost everything about your user, almost literally everything. When your user is actually a programmer, a coder, it's not that easy. For example, we still didn't collect any data from Android Studio because it's a question of communication with Google, and we hope that we will be able to do that. But for now, we don't even know how many of our users actually are using Android Studio, how many of KMM users are actually there. And we have to rely on surveys, and surveys help a lot. We have to rely on user interviews, but it helps us when we actually make some working decisions, when we're testing some hypotheses, but it doesn't help me personally to feel that I'm good at my work, so that I'm doing everything right. And such cases like Netflix are the moments when I'm like, whew, looks like I can relax, well, at least for an hour, and not worry about KMM and not worry about my work on KMM. Yes, and of course, after that, I'll start worrying again and asking myself questions like, we should interview them, we should ask them what their pain points are, what their blockers are, how we can help them, and so on and so on and so on and so on. But that blissful moments when I'm like, yeah, that's sometimes something you can never forget.
Yeah, that certainly is a roller coaster of emotions that you just described there. But I want the folks watching this to kind of take away that, again, the work never stops, and this framework is in the best of hands. So congrats on that win. We on our end, we saw a lot of people, that cared about this news, that were thinking about what it means for them. One of the things that I want to read from their announcement, and I want to get your perspective on this, is this approach. This is what Netflix wrote. This approach works well for several reasons. Our Android and iOS studio apps have a shared architecture with similar, or in some cases identical, business logic written on both platforms. Their second point is almost 50% of the production code in our Android and iOS apps is decoupled from the underlying platform. And then lastly, our appetite for exploring the latest technologies offered by respective platforms isn't hampered in any way. When you kind of hear that description, and those are some of the considerations that went into Netflix's decision to move forward with KMM, what are your reactions to it? Unexpected, expected, surprising? What do you think?
Well, you have heard what we said earlier about how we see our users and basically the love to the new technologies that isn't hampered in any way. The concern about quality, the concern about architecture, and well, obviously they have some mobile experience. So totally no surprises there. This is how we see our users. This is how we see people who use Kotlin multi-platform. And actually, I've noted several times that the more people are concerned with architecture of their apps, the more are they concerned with quality, the easier it is for them to adopt KMM. So totally no surprises. So I'm just happy that they learned about KMM and they have decided to try it because.
Yeah, I think it's a ideal portrait of our user, and we can just show it and see, look, if you feel you're close to them, then just try. And by the way, I just wanted to share one insight. It's more about the community reaction, not about our reaction, but the tweet about the fact that Netflix is using KMM, it generated more traffic for our landing page than even our blog post about KMM Goes Alpha. So it's really big and important news for the whole community.
Yeah, we were thankful that Netflix put in a link to our Xcode plugin as well. We saw that traffic spike, stars spike, and that it just showed. And I'm sure Netflix is seeing a spike in people that want to work there. People already wanted to work there, but now that they see, oh, I can work on that, and I can use that technology, that's awesome. So they're probably seeing some spikes as well, and that's something we keep talking to people about. Like, put your blog posts out there. Don't hide this. If it's something that's purely internal and you can't talk about it, you can talk about it, because Kotlin's not internal, and your use of it, you can probably not internal. Anastasiia, you mentioned you can't wait for them to put it into their main app, and the adoption at Netflix, I'm hoping, will continue to increase, and the people that are working on the main app will say, you know what, let's talk to these people who put it into production here. They're in the same company. We can get on a chat with them fairly easily. So do you have any idea when they might put it in their main app?
Well, no idea for now. For now, we didn't even talk to the author of this Medium article because he's on vacation, but we surely will. And I think that from now on, this is basically mostly on us. So if other folks from Netflix see that this particular team is happy with KMM, that they are satisfied, that all of their needs are met, then it will be a good point, a very good point.
And I also wanted to add around this studio app that they put into production, Touchlab. Hadn't heard of it before until that post, and we were doing all this research, like, when did this come out? Has it been talked about before? And it has. It's been around for a little while. And to me, I'm thinking of it like, this is not just a little internal app. Netflix sees how this could grow and help their business and help other businesses that could become putting videos and movies out into Netflix. It's sort of like how AWS started as an internal Amazon thing, and then it just became this huge multi-billion-dollar making machine. Netflix having this internal studio app, like, this could be big too. So it's not just that Netflix is using it, but it shows that KMP and KMM can be used in such important applications.
I think the news, without a doubt, one of the larger announcements in addition to the Alpha, the 1.4 event. So, and we can expect more, right? There's going to be more stories because there's a lot of hard work, and the differentiation for KMM versus the alternatives that we won't mention is very clear, and we're seeing it used as it was intended to be used. So great win for the team, great win for the community, and great win for Netflix as well. My last two questions are going to be for someone that is watching this and new to KMM. Where should they go to learn more about it and get started? And then my second question is for teams that are already in the pilot phase. They're starting to put it into some level of production, and they're running into some questions. Where should they go?
Yeah, I leave that one to Kate because she's the one who is talking to developers who are facing some problems.
Yeah, that's true. So for newbies in KMM, I'm so happy and proud to say that we have this developing and evolving KMM documentation portal, and please visit it. Please go through these articles, and I also want to highlight that Anastasiia, by her hands, she had added these widgets. Sometimes they are annoying because they are regularly asking about is this article good, or what do you want more? What do you want to know more about KMM? But please, this data, it's really important. After it goes to this crazy mind map in the area of learning curve and documentation. So yeah, please leave some feedback. But for For the experience users, of course, we have our public Kotlin Slack with the multi-platform channels, and the whole team, I think, is there. Engineers are there, me and Anastasiia are there, and you can contact us anytime. But I want to give Anastasiia an opportunity to share one more important option for those teams who have some unique cases.
Yes, for people who have unique cases, or for people who are really serious about putting KMM in production but are facing some difficulties because of the uniqueness of the case or because their app is quite complicated. I must note that folks from Touchlab has been really helpful in several of our cases. And well, first one is Square, and I know of several more, but well, Justin and Jeff and Kevin and all the people probably know more of such cases and can share them, hopefully someday. But the other interesting thing I could add here is that we have a Russian company that tried to adopt the same model, and just recently a person came to the interview and he said that they were struggling with adopting KMM. They really wanted to do that. And at some point, this Russian company has approached them and offered their consulting services, and it was a pretty fruitful partnership. So if you have a large production app, if you want to adopt KMM smooth and quick, and if you have some resources to do it, well, financial resources, but not so much time resources from your team, don't hesitate and, well, just ask Touchlab for help. So.
Perfect. Yeah, that's going to be super useful to folks across the spectrum, right? Because we know there are smaller teams working on this,
yeah,
larger teams working on this, so there's no shortage of options to get help, and I appreciate that vote of confidence that you guys have in Touchlab for us, and it means the world to us. So with that, I want to thank you both for this great conversation. There was so much information here for the community, for our community, the larger KMM community, to really listen and kind of pause, look up certain things, and get the help that they need. So thank you so much for your time. Anything that you want to say before we log off?
Yeah, actually, I have one thing. Product manager here, and I'm looking for people I could interview. So my focus right now are people who have started using KMM quite recently, best after alpha announce, so who have used our KMM portal, who have used CampKit, who have explored different options. And folks, I would really love to hear about your onboarding experience. So my contacts probably will be somewhere in the comment section of the YouTube. So just feel free to reach out and I would be happy to talk to you. It would be extremely useful to the team. Because, well, as I said before, we can't always track smooth onboarding through analytics and through some technical things. We actually have to talk to people. And, well, my second point here is just talk to us about anything. And as Justin mentioned, Netflix Studio app has been there for quite some time. They have adopted KMM for quite some time, but we didn't hear before they have put a Medium article out. So don't hesitate to do just that. So we would be happy to any materials about KMM. We are interviewing people and we are making case studies with them. But if you have already made an article, it will be much easier for you, and it will be much easier for us to talk to you, to make the interview more productive, more interesting, and it will be so much help to the community. So we'd love to hear about your experience, and write libraries, write articles about your experience, write articles that fill the missing gaps in documentation, be active, be supportive of each other. And if you have any problems, just come to us and we'd be happy to help.
I think Anastasia have stolen, I think, the most part of my thoughts, but it's a good thing, and I'll try to make it short. But I also have a lot of thoughts and in my mind because I'm so excited of all this happening right now. It was such an amazing month and an amazing year for KMM. And just one advice: do experiments because it's fun at least, and the results, they can be very useful. And for me, as for developer advocate, I know that sample projects, they are very important for the community, sometimes even more important than just text documentation, because this is something you can touch with your fingers. We don't want to be a bottleneck. By the way, we are also developing right now with my teammate from KMM team. We're developing right now sample, and we want it to be not like a sandbox sample with some basic features like demonstration of expect actual feature or some other basic stuff. We want to have some production application from Kotlin team, from KMM team. But we need more samples. We need more samples from the community, and just share with us the result of your experience, and we'll make KMM great, of course.
Regarding
yes. Oh, sorry, Justin, I interrupted you.
That's okay. Regarding people sending in their examples, the Kotlin 1.4 event was for JetBrains to present what they're working on. When's the next event for other people to present? Because I know Kotlin Conf is in 2021. Is there going to be something between that?
Okay, honestly, folks, we'd be happy to say something here, but we just can't. You know how the situation is in the world, and well, as you can see, we're making a call not from our shiny JetBrains office, but well, in my case, it's my shiny kitchen. So even with online events, it's a lot of effort to organize it all properly. And I'm afraid we can't say anything right now, but maybe Kate can.
Not something particularly, but I think you don't need to wait for the next online or offline event, we usually promote some content from folks in our Twitter or in our other channels, and I think online is an opportunity to have this parallel discussions, and we can discuss it continuously. So yeah, but nothing about online events, but just drop us a line when you have something.
Perfect.
Yes, and we actually can promote it in documentation. For example, probably some of KMM adopters know John with his People in Space sample. And actually, we didn't contact with John before we have released the documentation. Well, I probably just asked him briefly if I can use his samples in our samples page. And he's answered that yes, we can. But after release, he was so excited about it. And he was like, oh my God, my samples are in KMM documentation. And I'm like, of course, your samples are after CampKit, probably the best ones. So, yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's the most modern sample, because now I think he's using Compose for desktop even in
Yes,
the People in Space. Yeah.
He started using it even before official release of Jetpack Compose for desktop.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how our community is. And actually, probably one more thing I wanted to say to the community, folks, don't be shy, because KMM community right now is like one big family, and we actually do know each other. I actually know most of our adopters, some of them personally, and it's a nice time to work on the technology, to use the technology when people know each other, when people are communicating so actively. Probably when KMM will be very, very mature, very stable, and so on, it won't be like that. So catch the moment.
Yep, that's a great thought to end on. So I want to thank you both for appearing on Touchlab Shiro. Like I said, this was amazing. So much information here. And with that, this concludes our episode with the JetBrains Kotlin team for TouchLab Share. So thank you, everyone. We really appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thanks for
Thank
coming
you.
on.